Hey, Mitch.
Oh, hey, Ed, I was waiting for it to show up. Guess what show I'm thinking of?
Let's see, maybe Leaf Boy,
No, guess again. Come
uh,
on.
uh, Autumn Man.
No, Ed. Fall. Get it? The leaves falling? I'm
Oh,
thinking of,
the Fall Guy.
yeah, about
Oh,
the
that
stunt
show
man.
that show about the guy and things keep falling on him.
Well, yeah, there was more to it than that. Things just didn't fall on him all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. I mean, isn't that why that thing's up there?
Oh, not again.
Let's just start the show. Hi, this is Ed Dollister.
And this is Mitch Halleck.
And welcome to another exciting episode of Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. If it's your first time here, thanks so much for joining us. If you are a regular viewer, thanks for coming back. Hey, Mitch, before we start today's topic, how can you find out a little bit more about our show?
Oh, Ed's as easy as falling off a building and getting up and dusting yourself off and shaking hands with James Coburn. All you got to do is smash that subscribe button below, and you will be part of the Mitch and Ed army, and you'll know when we go on another adventure. And while you're there, hit the notification bell, ding ding, and you'll be able to know when that exactly happens. And smash the like button too, because why not?
Why
What are
not?
we doing today, Ed?
We're heading back to 1981, and which is a great year. You know, you've got
Was
Escape from New York, you've
Raiders.
got Raiders Lost Ark, Stripes. On TV, though, you had a really cool series that I used to love as a kid called The Fall Guy. It reminded me as a child of the 70s and obviously early 80s as well of the films of Burt Reynolds. It reminded
Reynolds.
me a little
Yeah.
bit like Smokey and the Bandit, which was really hot around that time. And of course, Hooper with also Burt Reynolds, which is about a stuntman. And there was another great movie called, funnily enough, The Stuntman. And
Yeah.
I think that was a time when people really sort of were interested in what stuntmen do, and you found out a little bit more. I remember they had a lot of, behind the scenes
Yep.
specials and things like
Yep.
that when you could see what was happening. And this basically was a story about a stuntman, an unknown
Yeah.
stuntman. Colt Seavers, played by Lee Majors, of course, from $6 Million Man fame. And in between movie shoots, he had to, make some money. So he was a bounty hunter.
Yeah, as one would. No, that was a great show because you're right. I remember the early, well, even the late 70s too, because there was a comic book called The Human Fly. There was Evil Knievel out there. He was always
Yes.
on the ABC's Wide World of Sports, jumping buses, jumping motorcycles, jumping the Grand Canyon. And everybody was in love with stuntmen. And you're right, it was Clint Eastwood and Burt Reynolds were the champions of all that, like super stunts. You would see all their, and then there was TV shows at the time called That's Incredible, where you
Yes.
had a guy named Dar Robinson who was a big stunt man. He would like fall off the building into a giant airbag and all that. So people were in love with stunts. This is long before CGI and computer effects. This was real deal guys with wires and breaking bones and everything
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. And plus, there was Steve McQueen, who was also a huge stunt guy. But Steve McQueen made a movie about a bounty hunter
Yes.
called The Hunter. And I
Yes.
remember that like bounty hunters were still a cool thing because you just had Boba Fett, who just came off the Empire Strikes Back. So Boba Fett and all those bounty hunter stories and stuntmen. So why not smashing them together? And who better to do it but producer Glenn Larson, who already gave us the great $6 Million Man, the Bionic Man. And he came up with this show, believe it or not, because he heard a friend of his sing about it in the song, which became the theme to the show called The Unknown Stuntman.
That's right, which is actually sung by Lee Majors, and it tells a story, and it's great. It name checks a lot of famous actors and actresses of the time. Farrah Fawcett Majors.
Yeah.
Well, she wasn't Farrah Fawcett Majors at that point. She was just back to Farrah Fawcett
Yeah,
because
she was they were
she was
going through a
divorced
divorce. Yeah.
from Lee Majors, but it just showed the behind the scenes of what it was like. And that's a great theme song that they actually released in
Yeah.
1985 as a single. And
Yeah.
it was credited to not just Lee Majors, but Colt Seavers. as well.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
So,
Well, like you said, it was one of those shows that it just struck a chord with the general pop culture at the time, and it was populated with great cameos. You'd watch the show, and Colt Seavers, aka Lee Majors, was he'd be working on a film set, and he'd see James Coburn come by. You'd see Farrah Fawcett
mhm,
Majors, then Ryan O'Neal's girlfriend and wife. She was on the pilot episode too.
yes.
And then there was Linda Evans, who also worked with him on a show called The Big Valley, which
Mhm.
was set years ago, but she was on Dynasty at the time. So yeah, you would watch The Fall Guy, and it was almost like Batman, the old Batman 66 show, where they'd have cameos from different celebrities that would show up, and Lou Ferrigno came
Yes,
on one episode as the Hulk, and he knocked out Colt Seavers in the episode. It was pretty funny.
that's
But
right.
yeah, no,
They
it
even
was a
had there was an episode featuring the Bond girls where
oh,
basically uh, they had Lee Majors with in the artwork was sort of looking with a pistol, and he
yeah.
had Britt Eklund and a number of the Bond girls on as well. So
Oh, I
it
didn't
was a bit
remember
of a
that one.
slice of Hollywood, but also a little bit of action, and of course lots of stunts. Lee Majors, I mean, we all know him really as the $6 million man. It's pretty rare for actors to get, two hit series in their
Yeah,
lifetime.
yeah.
And this ran from 1981 all the way to 1986. So I had a really good run. And he, as Colt Seavers, was a really likable character. Along the ride with him was his best buddy. He always, called Kid. It was Howie Munson, played by Doug Barr or Douglas Barr, as he
Douglas
was
Barr, yeah.
known.
I thought he was his cousin. He was his Ivy League cousin
Yes,
who went to, like, Yale, which is right down the street here in Connecticut, but he wanted to get into the Hollywood business, so he was
yes,
always tagging along, but he was kinda like a big good-looking nerd, though, you
yes.
know? Yeah.
And along also was I remember having a pinup of Heather Thomas in my study in one of those 80s styles bikinis, but she played Jodie Banks, gorgeous Heather
That's
Thomas.
right. It was that opening shot where she's coming through the Batwing
That's
doors
right.
or the saloon doors, and she's got her blue bikini
That
on
was
there.
too much
Yeah,
for an 11-year-old to take.
yeah,
So
I studied that too, but I didn't have a study like you did.
yeah,
But anyway,
I had
yeah.
from TV Week, which is like your TV Guide, but a bigger magazine. They used to have posters of the week, and they used
Yeah.
to have ABBA and Star Wars and
Yep.
Grease, and I've got a few of those. Witness they had brought out even later on, and I had the Heather Thomas one,
Oh,
which
yeah.
was great, and
Yeah.
Marky Post from
Marky Post was on there too as the bail bonds person
yeah. So
that they
she
like
joined
to
in
drop
the
for.
second season till the
Yeah, she took over for Joanne Flug.
yes,
Joanne Flug was Lieutenant Dish in the MASH movie, but she was on a lot of, like, game shows and a lot of other shows in the 70s and 80s, like Match Game. She was like a constant, but she was
yep,
on the series,
yep,
and then they took her out and put in Marky Post. And
yeah,
Marky
who
Post
played
was somebody too, God rest her soul, that
yes.
you wouldn't mind seeing on a poster on a wall because she was a looker as well. I mean,
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah, it was well, it's Hollywood, they were playing all these beautiful people on TV getting into exciting situations. And another character I suppose that we should mention, even though it wasn't really an actor, was his car.
Oh, the truck?
Yeah.
That the pickup truck here, the 4 by
Yeah,
4?
with the eagle on the front. Again,
Oh, yeah.
it's quite different to, like from Smokey and the Bandit, but it's sort of
Yeah.
the art on the bonnet of the car. What do you
Yeah,
call it?
yeah.
The bonnet? What do you
No, we
call it?
call it a hood.
Hood on the hood of the
Yeah,
car.
yeah.
Was pretty cool, and that got into a lot of stunts. And of
Oh,
course,
yeah.
they made a toy out of it because
Not only that, but they had to redesign the truck because they used it for a lot of jumps, and
yes,
what would happen is, you got the engine in the front part of it, and when they would do those big jumps, it would land, the whole frame would crack because of
yes,
just, the weight of it, and the tires would go blowing off the side, so they had to redesign the truck for the show, so they took the engine and put it in the center of the car instead of the front, so when it landed, it was balanced better, so it
yep.
didn't just blow out the tires, but no, they did that. There is a toy of that car. I've seen Matchbox, not Matchbox,
It
but,
was
it's a little
Ertl. Ertl
diecast
brought them out.
Ertl, yeah.
Um, and they brought out also a Colt Seavers action figure as
Oh,
well.
yeah?
To go with
Oh,
the
I didn't
car, which was really cool. There was a also they brought out, I don't think it was Ertl, but they brought out a Fall Guy stunt plane, which came with a little figure, and
Oh,
you could have Colt Seaver standing on it, a bit like Tom Cruise was doing in the latest Mission Impossible
yeah.
7, I think,
Well,
teaser
one of those
with
movies.
him,
Yeah.
doing those plane walking or what have you.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
they
yeah,
brought
yeah.
out that, they had a thermos and also
Did they have a
had
lunchbox?
they had a lunchbox and thermos.
Oh, the
Yes.
Fall Guy. Now that's something because you could have a Lee Majors collection because I had
And
the $6 million man lunchbox
yeah,
as a kid, and then now we have the Fall Guy. Look at
yes,
that. Yeah.
I do. I've only got the Bionic Woman thermos and lunchbox, but not the $6 million man one. And they brought out, there was like a shooting target game as well,
Oh
and a few
yeah.
things like that. I think they brought out some, like rack toys,
Yeah,
which are
those
those
little
cheaper
toys you
sort
get
of
the
knockoffs as
pharmacy.
well.
Yeah, the grocery store. Yep.
They had
Yep.
a board game that they
They
brought out where
did.
where they had to collect bounties with some really nice. One thing I like about those early 80s TV show board games, they had really um interesting art, like is it John Alvin?
Yeah, that's the
And
movie poster guy. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm not saying it was by John Alvin, but it evoked that sort of
It had that
that
photorealistic
it
artwork.
was
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
So that's available. And they also did a couple of video games. There was a ColecoVision video game and one for the I think it was for the
Really?
ZX Spectrum as well. Yeah.
I had ColecoVision. I had never known there was a Fall Guy video game. It amazes me that the show was as popular as it was because the first season it took off like gangbusters. It was in the top 10. But
Yes.
then they started moving it around the schedule around here. It was on Thursdays and then they put it on Saturdays, which is like you don't go on Saturdays because everybody's out
Yep.
unless you're watching Love Boat in Fantasy Island. And then they moved it to Fridays, which was like the worst night of the week. But you never know because Miami Vice became a huge hit on a Friday night. But
I
yeah,
think by the end of the run, like it was in the, top 20 for most of its life. And then for the
yeah,
last season, I think it was like 80th or
it
90th.
dropped. No,
Yeah.
because people couldn't find it. There was no
Yeah.
DVRs or
Mhm.
VCRs, and people couldn't tape things like they do or on demand. So yeah, if they once you started getting lost in that big schedule,
Mm.
did not do you good. Did not do you
And
good.
it's a hard show. It's a hard show to find. You can't see
Really?
yeah, I found that they did release season, I think it was season 1. I don't think they did season 2 on DVD, but it didn't sell very well. So they haven't
Ah,
released, the other seasons, unfortunately. And
it's not Starsky and Hutch.
it's, well, it is no Starsky and Hutch. Again, a different vibe, but it was and I can't find it on any, certainly in Australia, it's not on any of the streaming services.
No, I was
It
gonna
might
say I don't
be.
think it's on Paramount Plus or Prime. I'll check Amazon Prime. They usually have a lot of stuff. I know YouTube has a lot of the videos or clips from the show there, but
Yeah, but sometimes it's good,
yeah,
you want to binge and watch a whole season. It is great fun. The characters are exciting. There's
yeah,
lots of exciting stunts. I love the opening with the opening song, The Unknown Stuntman, where you can sort of pick
the
the
movies.
stunts that you see. There's one from the Poseidon Adventure,
Yeah,
the one
yeah. Oh, the guy
hanging
falls through the
from,
light. Yeah,
yes, with the one when he's hanging off the train is from Silver Streak with Gene Wilder. That's actually
yeah,
supposed to be
yeah,
Gene Wilder.
yeah,
And they, as the show progressed and the seasons progressed, they did put in stunts from the episodes and everything like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I have a vivid image of Colt Seavers in his bath
Oh,
at
with
the
the
end of the
cigar and
day
the little
with
duck.
the cigar and the little duck. And I thought, wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, no, because he lived on top of some mountain or something. It was like almost a shack
That's
in the
right.
middle of nowhere. Yeah, they good. You got to do the Lee Majors acting bit. You ready? Here's the Lee Majors. You
Yeah.
ready? You gotta twist up those eyebrows, and that's about it. He was all eyes. His acting's
Yes.
all here. It's all in his eyes. He squints a lot.
It's a great show. It's
It
great
is. It's
fun. If
fun.
you can find it on DVD, one of those deleted, in a secondhand shop or something like that,
Yeah.
certainly pick it up. It's great fun. We should say that it's
Wait.
currently, yeah.
No, I was going to say before you wrap that up, there was a lot of guest stars too. It's fun
Oh,
to
yes.
see. There's a young Jack Black on there. There's a young Joaquin Phoenix on there.
Sid
there's a
Haig.
lot of who?
Sid
Sid
Haig.
Haig's down there?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I was gonna say there's a lot of future, big Hollywood
Yes.
celebrities as kids on
Yep.
that show too. And then you'll see like some legends of old Hollywood, like Eddie Albert will be on
Mhm.
there, and I mentioned Linda Evans and James
Yes.
Coburn and such. So a lot of these folks were friends of Lee Majors. I don't think Burt Reynolds was ever on there, but he was in that circle of people that there. And did Hal Needham? He was the guy that made those Hooper and the
Did,
Smoking the
yes.
Bandit movies. He was a stuntman turned director. I don't know if he ever popped up on that show, but
I
they
don't.
did a Raiders of the Lost Ark under the truck chase. It was through a cornfield. And how they did that is they dug a trench,
Mhm.
and the stuntman goes under the truck and he grabs like a rod or an axle and he like Indiana Jones did,
Yep.
but they did do that one in there too. So I'm wondering if a lot of the guys that were on the indie movies worked on that show as well, like Glenn Randall Jr. and
Yes.
Vic Armstrong. So anyway, that's what I was gonna say. I wonder if you can get the credits, go look and see if there's some notable stunt folks on there.
I'm
But
sure there are because there are some, pretty cool stunts. That's what the show's about, really. So they
yeah,
need to
Bounty Hunter. But
absolutely
they never did a reunion show. They never
no.
did a return to Fall Guy or the Fall Guy Falls Again. But right now, as we speak, I think almost wrapping up in your neck of the woods.
It is in
Is
Sydney.
there not a movie?
Yeah, they're filming a movie version, The Fall Guy, starring Ryan Gosling and from the director of Bullet Train and Deadpool 2. So I know
Oh,
that there was people, it's probably like in New York, people complain, where they shut down a whole city block or whatever for a car chase or what have you. But
yeah,
yeah, Ryan Gosling is playing Colt Seaver. The I don't know, it's a weird sort of property to do a film
a
version because I'm
movie.
not sure
Yeah.
a lot of the younger people would even know about the Fall Guy. So I
Or
suppose
what a
it's just like
stuntman does. Yeah.
yeah, and I suppose it's like just a new property to them. But they just had also Emily Blunt join the cast. I read, so
Oh, maybe she's gonna play the Heather Locklear character.
she could be. But I feel
Heather Thomas,
oh
not Locklear.
yes, there
I
you
got
got
it.
me.
I knew I was gonna skip. There was a lot of Heathers back in the 80s.
Yes. That's true.
So
So,
yeah.
anyway, so that's coming out most likely next year. It's just filming in Sydney at the moment, which is doubling for Los
New York,
Angeles or New
Los
York or something
Angeles,
like
as
that.
one would.
Yes.
Lord
So,
knows why you don't just film in LA.
because, well, with our dollar only, 60 cents to
Oh, it's
the US
cheaper.
dollar. Yeah, it's a lot cheaper.
Cheaper to keep her.
That's right. The bang for the buck is a lot better than it is. But the Fall Guy is an awesome show, well worth watching if you can find it. And some of those toys you can get are not too expensive on eBay. And that truck, it's worth it just to get that
The
the
truck.
Erdl truck, because I always wanted one of those. I always wanted one of the Hardy Boys vans. In fact,
Yeah.
Glenn A. Larson, he was involved in
Oh,
Hardy
Battlestar
Boys. He
Galactica.
also Battlestar Galactic. He also did Manimal. He also
Yeah.
did Automan, not Autumn Man, but Automan.
He wasn't Magnum, was he?
He was Magnum.
Magnum PI. Yeah.
Then a lot of his shows had
And Tales of
signature
the Gold Monkey.
cars.
What?
Interesting.
Yeah, they always had a focus on a car.
What about Lee Majors? Have you ever thought of getting Lee
I've
Majors?
thought about Lee May in the year of 2020. Thank you,
Yep.
COVID. I was planning on getting Lee Majors and Lindsay
Lindsay Wagner.
Wagner, and I know now that Heather Thomas does do conventions now because the same booking agent said, "Why don't you do a reunion?" But I don't think Douglas Barr. Douglas Barr went on to own a wine vineyard called
Yes,
Hollywood and Wine,
that's
as
quite
opposed to
good.
Hollywood and Vine. And I know he's very successful. That I think he's 72 years old
Yep.
now. Lee Majors is in his 80s. Heather's probably in mid 60s. But everyone got old. They're all still with us though, except Marky Post. God rest her soul. She
Yes.
passed away. I think earlier this year. Uh, so that's too bad.
But I think that would be a Fall Guy. And of course, you get, again, talking about bang for your buck, you get a bit of
Bionic. Yeah.
the Bionic Man. I think would be pretty impressive having the $6 million man there as well. So who knows?
When are they ever making that reboot? That's been talked about forever.
Ah,
Jim Carrey, Mark Wahlberg. How many times the $6 million Man movie's been thrown around?
yes. Yeah. Well,
You don't get much with $6 million now.
No. That's
And it
how
would
much
have to be like the $6 billion man.
it
Something
would. Yes. Yeah, I think so. So anyway,
anyway,
that's it. That's it. The Fall Guy. It's a great show. Classic 80s TV series. Lots of stunts, lots of good characters. Check it out if you can find it. You know what else you can check out, Mitch?
Our other library of shows.
Sure. How would you do that?
And it is simple as falling from a tall building. I'm not going to sing it, but all you got to do is hit the subscribe button below, punch it like you're hitting Cold Seavers right in the face, and you too can be subscribed to our TV show or YouTube show, and you'll find out all about it. And there you go, because you're the unknown stunt man that makes something out of
That looks makes
whatever.
Redford.
There you go. No, it makes Clint Eastwood the star.
Oh, I'm sure it was Redford. Anyway,
He
they name dropped
dropped
Sally
a bunch of
Field.
people.
They do a
Sally
whole
Field.
set.
I've been seen with Pharaoh.
Check it out. Check out our other episodes. And of course, if you've got a comment, we'd love to read it and we'll reply. And also, if you've got an idea for a show that you would like us to cover, we'd be more than happy to. So put those suggestions in the comments below. Signing off. This is Ed Dollister.
This is Hollywood Mitch Halleck.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.